Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Hello, Disruptors, and welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments with yours truly here, your host, Dr. Alisa Whyte. And of course, I come with another brilliant co-host today. Today, we're tackling something so many high achievers quietly face. It's a B word, and it's not that word. It's called burnout. Take your mind out of the gutter. We are very, very busy people. We tend to wear the badge of busy. Yeah, I've been so busy. The badge of busyness is like a badge of honor for most people. And I'll tell you, in my journey, I have been resisting the urge to use that word. And when people say, oh, I know you're a very busy person, I'm like, no, I am prioritizing. So if I didn't get back to you, it's because I prioritized several other things over getting back to you. And that is the actual truth. So with all this busyness, deep down, we are draining ourselves. We're running low on energy. We're also running low on passion. And sometimes our health is being sacrificed. My guest today is here to show us how burnout doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can actually be the beginning of balance. And I just love the word balance, because a lot of people talk about balance from a perspective of trying to make it all work, where I am a harmony seeker in this age of my life, but she's stressing that you can go from burnout to balance. And we'll talk some more about that. She is a stress coach. Oh, I'm so glad she exists. Now she's going to be sorry that she met me, because when I need a coach for stress, I'm going straight to her. She is a stress coach, a wellness strategist, and also a licensed clinical professional counselor. And she's also the founder of Abundant Wellness Essential. She's also the author of this book I told you about, which is an Amazon bestseller, From Burnout to Balance. She is none other than Miss Deidre Gestrin. Deidre, we welcome you to Mindset Mastery Moments. We're so excited to dive into how we can find balance even in our burnout situations. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here and excited to just share my journey and kind of where some of this came from. And it's such an issue in today's society.
It is, and I believe that a lot of people are suffering with burnout and they don't even know what it is. So take us back a little bit, Deidre. Who are you in your own words? What do you do and why do you do it?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. I've been doing that for 15 years. So I've been in the behavioral health space for actually probably over 20, most of my career. Um, And I've also added health and wellness coaching certification to my world, because I believe we have to talk about ourselves as a holistic perspective. And I know we're going to get into some of those pieces.
Yes.
And so through my career and my journey, I actually hit burnout 3 specific times. And it's interesting because I can pinpoint each one. But it was the third one that really was kind of the catalyst for my book and my current business, because I had just gotten to such a horrendous place. Couldn't believe I let myself get there. It was bad enough. My doctor said, your job is killing you. And if you don't make a change, I can't help you. And that was really kind of that turning point of I have to not only step out and fix for myself, but I needed to look at how do I help others prevent where I got. And so that's really kind of what opened up this new mission and journey to say, we can't keep functioning this way. We can't keep normalizing burnout, because every organization will just say it's normal. Just keep going and do it. No, we can't do that. We have to solve this for our own health and for those around us. And so that's really kind of been my journey and kind of where I've landed where I'm at now.
Wow, that's awesome. So let's talk about what is the definition, textbook and real life definition of burnout.
Did you know the World Health Organization actually has an official definition? A lot of people don't know that, but they do. When I went through kind of my research and starting my own journey and how am I going to help others, I found it. And so that's kind of the basis of the definition I'll share, right? And I'm going to summarize it because it's super long. They don't. But the World Health Organization defines it as a syndrome that comes directly from work. And I'm sure we'll talk about, I don't believe burnout is just from work, but that is the
Mm,
primary one we do notice. And so it comes from an unhealthy workplace. And the definition includes feeling completely exhausted and emotionally depleted,
mm,
feeling a loss of personal accomplishment are two of the main points. Not remembering the third one off the top of my head, but that's the essence of their definition. And so when we talk about what does that really mean in real life, well, it's the people who aren't sleeping. It's the people who feel like they just can't give anymore, but they keep trying to go, right? That exhaustion, they're overwhelmed. They don't know
mhm,
how they're going to get through it all. And it's just what I see in the healthcare field, people lose the sense of why am I still doing what I'm doing? Right? I got into it because I was passionate and want to help people and I feel it's my calling, but I've lost it. I don't see what the point is anymore. They've lost that hope and they've lost that personal connection or so that's kind of I think I just listed several things that are almost like this layered process
yes,
of what
yes.
we notice, right? The exhaustion, the overwhelm, and then when we get to that deeper level, if we've been there for too long, we've lost connection to what's the point? And that's what I hear a
Mm,
lot.
what's the point of me doing this? And so your journey into this work has obviously, you shared with us, for me, is very fascinating. I applaud you and congratulations. 15 years in mental health or any kind of health and therapy is a lot because statistics show that individuals who are in the helping professions like therapy, teaching, hello,
Yep. Yep.
and some others, nursing or medical in any of those regards, suffer burnout more than anyone else. So the fact that you still are going,
Yep.
obviously, you shared with us that you suffered burnouts. So you've worked in these high stressed environments like
We have.
correctional departments, you've counseled professional, and now you're on a mission to help 50,000 high achievers conquer burnout by
I know.
2026. So let's start there. What pulled you into the space of stress and wellness strategy? Because obviously you had suffered it and so many other people, but they didn't get up and be like, okay, I want to help 50,000 people. So what was your motivation into doing that?
I would say it was twofold, right? So it was my own journey and what my recovery process looked like
Mm,
because it did take a toll on my physical health, but it really became more prevalent in kind of that forefront of nope, this is really where I got to pivot. And honestly, it came out of COVID, right?
mm,
I was as a therapist, as we all were, working telehealth, right? Everybody's working from home. And I can just count like one client after another that would sign up for services with me. It was, I'm burnt out. And those are the words I'd hear. I'm burnt out. I'm stressed. I have no balance. And so when I look at this was the primary source of my business and my caseload in particular for a good 2 or 3 years. And then when I combine that, when I look at my own journey, I go, this is not okay, right? It's if I was to throw terms out there, it's becoming its own epidemic, so widespread. And so that's really kind of where it birthed from was the constant people coming
yeah,
to me. I see you focus on stress because I've always been a trauma therapist and I
yeah.
have kind of a joint view in what that looks like when we talk about burnout. But that's really where it came from. My journey combined with this repetition of sharing the same things with clients and seeing their improvement, I go,
Hmm.
there's got to be another way to get it out, to share it
Mm,
with more people than just the one on ones I can do.
I love that. I love that. And I feel like no one's even more equipped because you're not coming from a place where you 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 just experience burnout. You also understand it from a clinical perspective and you understand it from being an insider of experiencing it. And you
Right.
also come from a place of where you were able to be resilient in the face of burnout successfully. So no better candidate to serve that way. Let's talk about burnout in real life. You know that burnout often creeps up very silently. And
Yeah.
that is why it is so important for us to talk about this and
Absolutely.
help people become aware of it. And that's why I'm always excited when I have someone who does do the work of helping people get through it, because it is so very subtle. I've gone through burnout several times, and the first time it happened, I did not know that's what was happening. I didn't know what it was. I heard about it, but I didn't know that's what was happening. And so I'm very clear when it's creeping up, and I know how to, all right, let's dial it back and reel
Yeah.
it in and get back to the root,
Yeah.
heal that, and then come back up again. But
Yes.
most people don't even know
Right.
to call it burnout. They say, I'm tired. This is just what success takes. It got to sacrifice. You got to give it up. Sometimes you got to do what you don't like. Why do you think so many people don't recognize it until they're deep in it?
I honestly think it's because we have this, and I see this kind of across just society, almost everybody. And can't quite pinpoint necessarily where it comes from, but this perception of you just have to keep going. You can't stop. You have to do 5 different things at once or you're not succeeding. And I truly believe
Yes.
that's where it comes from. It's this perception that has been integrated into us and pushed on us. But
Hmm.
I don't know as if we could really pinpoint where it comes from, right? But that's where it comes from is we feel like we're failing if we do stop to take care of ourselves.
I believe I know where it came from. I believe that as humans, while our minds and our brain has evolved in how we think, so we became so-called sophisticated, and we were able to create beautiful infrastructures and cars and
Yeah.
motorcycles and bicycles and computers and iPhones and iPods and all this sophisticated stuff because of our mental growth by eons over the course of humanity, right? But while we were able to do and think and create that, our bodies are still just like our ancestors. Our
Mhm.
bodies did not change. Our physiology did not change, right? Our
Right.
psyche, so to speak, did not change, while our minds have been able to grow and evolve. So it's almost like, in my mind, Deidre, it's like having a house built on an ant farm. So it's still in there, and it's going to come up and it's going to bite your tail while you're inside the new fancy house you just built. So that is my opinion. And then there is what I call, some people call it greed, but I think we became less empathetic because now we're in a space mentally of, I have got to keep up with the Joneses, and keeping up with the Joneses was always, I think, has always been in existence. I think I can only imagine our cavemen trying to think about who's going to have the nicest, most shiniest cavemen with the biggest rocks and stuff back in the days, because that's just human. It keeps us going, right? Comparing. But then now we're talking about who's going to get the biggest car. And so while our ancestors used to barter goods and services to exist, we have this thing called money.
Yes.
And
Yes.
while money is necessary, the love of money became the root of all evil. So we start chasing paper, as they say on the streets. And so the more we want, that's the drive to keep us going.
Yes.
That's my root cause analysis for why we're burnt out.
I love that perspective.
So now, because I feel like I have to have a certain house, a certain car, and then once I
Yes.
get it, oh no, that's not enough. I want a bigger one.
Mhm.
We're going for a bigger one. And so it's not, there's single Alisa competing with married Deidre.
Yeah.
Deidre has got 2 incomes. Alisa, it's just me. So what am I even, there's no comparison, right?
Right.
But you bought a Tesla. You and your husband got 2 Teslas, and over here I'm struggling to buy one, but now I keep going. I work more hours. I work longer. I'm trying to climb the corporate ladder. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. Humans, that is what keeps us going. Passion, ambition. But at some point, enough is too much, and too much is way too much. And so that
Yes.
quest for more, which for me is the external validation, the external locus of control, is us
Mhm.
lending our well-being and our
Right.
our oomph, the very fabric of who we are and how we show up to be validated before it becomes enough for us.
Yeah.
The endless battle come, and that's where burnout comes. Because I
Yeah.
know when we dive into your 7 dimensions of wellness,
Uh-huh.
you're going to you're going to tell us that first of all, in one of your dimensions, you're going to tell us at some point you have got to value and love yourself. So
Yep.
let's go. Deidre, that's my take. This is because I've been trying to figure out how did this world get so topsy-turvy?
Yes.
It's the
And I
lack of
I love
empathy and
that
greed.
perspective.
Yeah,
I
go
love
ahead.
that perspective. Well, and I would just add to that, it kind of brought up, and it's in my book too, but part of my journey was realizing for me, it wasn't necessarily about keeping up with other people, but it was about wanting to feel accepted and part of, right? It's that people pleasing behavior.
Yes.
And so I was always the yes person at work.
Right. Right. And so in the conversation of burnout, we often address folks like you and I, the ones who are servants, the ones who are altruistic, the ones who are the yesers, I call it. I said I'm a yeser and a yes
Sure.
mammer.
Yeah.
I recovered. I just speak it in the past because when I say recovering, I'm still holding on to it. But when I say recovered, it pushes it
Yep.
back and I'm standing in
Yep.
a place of overcoming. And so it's easy to spot us. Like we know Deidre's gonna run out. I mean,
Right.
there's people. I remember people, in my culture would say, try that with meaning you can go on ahead because at some point they're gonna wear you out. And lo and behold, they were always right. Keep
Yeah.
running over at the church, you're gonna run out. Keep up with that, right? So we're easy to spot. And so yeah, we don't come from a place of keeping up with the Kardashians.
Mhm.
You can't say keep it up and not say the Kardashians. It just go together. And I'm not endorsing or advertising for the Kardashians, by the way, but it's just cute. When every time I hear keeping up, it has to go with the Kardashians. We're not trying to keep up with the Kardashians, but we are trying to keep up with people's expectations.
Yes.
Because at some point we're like, I know I'm tired. I know that I should probably stay in bed, but I did overcommit. Me and my weary ass self. I'm always overcommitting, but you're still going to go because you got to keep up with your word, right? We don't want to be people that are lack of a word. So we're easy to spot, but those who are chasing paper, we don't see it. We think they're driven. We look at them as successful, but deep down inside, they are miserable. They don't really like themselves. That's why they lash out at people. That's also a sign of burnout, anxiety, all this stuff. So talk to us, Deidre, about the 7 dimensions of wellness. I love it because it reminds us that burnout isn't just about work.
Mhm.
It's about the whole person. Can you walk us through how paying attention to those 7 areas that can transform stress into a more balanced life, I would say more harmonious life? What does that look like? Talk to us about the 7 dimensions of wellness.
Yeah. So I really see the seven dimensions as the foundation, right? And if you Google wellness wheels, they all have eight. But I shrunk it
Yes.
down to seven for a purpose. And I actually have a different diagram. It's actually in my book that is a different perspective because I don't see them all as these individual components. They all interact, right? And so when we first think about our dimensions, we've got our spiritual self, we've
Mm-hmm.
got our psychological, so our mindset,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've got the emotional. And then we've got these, what I view as more external factors, because those
Mm-hmm.
ones that I just listed, those are within me. Those are things that
Mm-hmm.
I need to work on from the inside out. But
Mm-hmm.
then we've got these other ones on the outside. We've got our environments, which is
Mm-hmm.
many, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got relationships. And then we've got the occupational and the financial. I actually joined those. And I did that
Mm-hmm.
because I don't believe we can talk about one without the other because they're so interconnected. And so when we look at the seven dimensions, I think it's important to look at burnout can come from any of those dimensions, not just work. Yes, it
Right.
primarily comes from work, but it can come from all those other areas.
Right.
We can also use all those areas to heal and
Hmm.
to find that balance that works for us,
Yes.
right? And I love the word balance, but I know it's kind of controversial too, in that balance isn't consistent. So,
Yes.
for parents, adults who have kids, your balance when kids are in elementary school looks one way. When they're in high school playing sports, that balance is very different, right? When we're talking about life balance. So,
Yes. It's very
balance changes
different.
with the seasons in life that we're going through. And sometimes I think we try to grasp to these static concepts. Well, life isn't static. It's
Yeah.
always changing, it's always adjusting. And so we have to be doing that too. But we can use these 7 dimensions to one, have that awareness of, okay, where am I starting to get stressed or anxious or burnt out or overwhelmed? And what can I do within this to change that? So that's really kind of where the concept of
Hmm.
using your 7 dimensions to create that balance came from.
I love it. I love it. So, of course, I'm going to ask Deidre, walk us through, if you don't mind, without giving it away, because I really believe that if you all listeners and viewers want to get this in its entirety, obviously what Deidre has done, she has gifted the world the full layout of how it all works together in her book. I believe when someone writes a book, they're writing episodes of their soul and their life purpose, especially with the type of books that we write as professionals when we teach our frameworks and our theories and our principles. So if you truly want it, you're going to have to get the book or go work with her. But Deidre, can you give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, what each of those dimensions are and what they entail?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to start from the, again, like I said, from the inside out, right? And I do that because when we think about our spiritual self, because we
Hmm.
are a spirit being, right?
Yes.
It's looking at, are you connected to your faith and what you believe? Because that's a direct
Mm.
connection to your purpose,
Mm.
right? Just a little side note on why I say that. I was not one who wanted anything to do with the mental health field, but I followed that guidance and it was the best decision ever. It's a career I have loved and enjoyed,
Right.
right? And so there's that dichotomy of that fleshly, that personal thing of what do I think I want? And then there's that what am I born to do? And so we have to come back to that. So that's part of that spiritual connection is is that piece that has to be explored when we talk about, each dimension. So the next one would be that emotional intelligence area. How much awareness and management do you have for that component, right? Because we know those who are overwhelmed or anxious, what do? They lash out at the people around them. I did it. I cussed at a supervisor once and didn't care. Thankfully, she took it with grace.
She sounds like the kind of supervisor I am, because I mean, when you don't think when you value people, you value people. You don't look at them as an isolated event. It's like,
Yes.
okay, Deidre is not the type of person to just cuss at me. So if she's cussing, she's not okay. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take this personal and be like, do you know who I am?
Right.
I'm your boss, gosh darn it. It's like, okay, Deidre, time out, flag on the
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Girl, what's wrong with you? Go home, come back tomorrow. I'm gonna pay you for the rest of the day, but what I ain't gonna do is put up with your grumpy butt. Go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, she
So
sounds like a cool person.
she really was. And that's, part of why I knew I wasn't in a good place because I'm not one to do that. But when we talk about the one, two, threes, the sevens, right, of the dimensions, it's on the emotional level,
Mm-hmm.
it's that awareness and that management there. Right. And then when we get to that psychological, we have to shift some mindsets.
Mm,
Right. And so the most common one I was guilty of, and I hear all the time in my profession, is I have to finish this to do list today because there's going to be 10 more added tomorrow.
yeah.
Mm. I'm going to break this one to you. There's always work. It will never stop.
It never goes away. Everybody has died and left work. Look, Michael Jackson was doing, it is, what is it we call it? This is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only it we got was the recording of his rehearsals.
Right.
He died and left that job. And that is the most common example of how much we will die and leave work to be done.
Yeah.
And guess what? He went on to be with the Lord or whoever he went with. But people finished This Is It. They packaged it into a movie and they made millions and billions of dollars. So yeah, believe it or not, there was always work.
Yeah, there's always work. So we got to work on our mindset, right? Which is to find that balance.
Yes.
So that's okay. So then let me get that other kind of internal, external piece. It's our physical health. And this is where I truly believe there's an interconnection. If we're not taking care of our bodies, it has a direct effect on our mental health. There is no separation. So we have to do some things to take care of our physical health so we can do what we're doing. So that's all of kind of that internal direct work, right? I don't necessarily need somebody with me doing that. It's helpful, right? To have somebody that walks alongside with you. But that I have to do those things for me. So those are the four kind of, like I said, internal components. Then we've got these external ones. And these are the things like, let me start with social. Now, when we think about social, I'm not just talking about friends. I'm talking about family. I'm talking about anybody you socialize with and support. That goes together. Because we can't heal on our own. And so from a book I read and a training I went to, this particular individual actually defines some things, and I really like it. If you just think about the word wellness versus illness, what's different? It's the beginning. We are well with support. We are more ill when we are just we isolate. And that was huge on my journey. I had to be back around my support because I was isolated. So we have to work on those relationships. And mind you, relationships can cause conflict, right? Cause stress. But we have to look.
To me, it's a challenge. The stress that you experience in relationships, as we talk about life being a mirror back to you, it's just like my muscle here. When I lift weight, it's stressing my muscle. But that stress causes me to do what? Grow this muscle. The stress on this muscle grows this muscle. So relationship, I mean, most of us talk about, I don't like drama. I don't like drama. Conflict in relationship is not drama. However, conflict in relationships, because of how we might deal with it or how we experience it, can become dramatic.
Right.
So understanding that stress in your life and your relationship is you have two choices. You can abandon ship and not lift weights anymore when you feel the stress on your muscle, which is the soreness the next day. Or you can keep lifting and stressing that muscle, which in turn, the muscle is like, I see what you're doing. So I'm going to rise to the occasion. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to read what you're doing and how you're training me to be. And now I'm being stronger so that if you fall, that when you try to lift a big 50-pound bag, I'm not going, wait, I can't do that. And letting you drop that 50-pound bag or even a 18 tray of eggs. And I just get weak and drop because you're holding me the wrong angle. Because you keep pressuring me, now I know how to function when you put weight on me. It's not about being sexy, even though it looks sexy, having muscles. It is about being, like for me as a woman, I lift every day, but you can't tell because I don't have big bulging biceps. But what I do have is a toned arm. If you check my arm a year ago, well, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, the circumference was about 17 or 22 inches, right?
Yeah.
But constantly training it has shrunk it and leaned it out. So I want people who are listening to understand when you talk about stress, that stress doesn't mean a bad thing. When you feel stress, it is a signal that you can train yourself how to deal with adverse activities, adverse experiences in the right ways. All it is I'm not processing this right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Tell us, doc, because I know you can tell it better than I do.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Well, and so before we get into the last
Uh-huh.
two kind of points on the dimensions, I want to touch on what you said because it is important. And this is actually, I love your muscle analogy. And this
Mm-hmm.
is an analogy I use a lot because when I look at stress, there's a hierarchy process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got our baseline where life's great, loving it. Then we have stressful situations. So I want to also point out some stress is good. It helps us accomplish things. It helps us get those bills paid, right? They call that eustress.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have too much stress at once, we move into chronic stress, which is, and if I'm not careful, my rubber band here is going to break because it's fraying, but
You're stressing it.
it is. But I associate stress with a rubber band, right? Because in
Uh,
stress, we're supposed to stretch, but then we're supposed to come back to our
yeah.
baseline. But if we're under that chronic stress too long and it's
Mm.
repeated and we're never getting out of it because it's your fight or flight response on your nervous system, it is one and the same. You will stretch so far that the rubber band breaks. And if you're either about to break or you do break, you're probably in burnout.
Oh, is
See?
that burnout?
And I just broke it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
is
And
burnout.
that's
What is that also? I'm going to ask a weird question. Is that when you cross over the line between sanity and insanity?
it feels that way. It feels that way. It feels that way. But
I'm so
you know,
evil at
yeah,
times.
yeah. But it is. And you have to be careful you're not gonna break because for me, my burnout actually went into secondary traumatic stress.
Yes. And I
Especially
remember my psychiatrist when I was younger. I was seeing one when I was coming out of the memory loss that he showed me how, they sing about it's a thin line between love and hate. And I tell people that is not true. There's not a thin line between love and hate. What the thin line is between sanity and insanity.
yep, yep.
And that love and hate they're talking about is when someone is actually loving you, they're probably functioning in a proper, healthy place. When they hate you, they're not healthy. That's where all the
Yes.
crazy stuff happens, right?
Yes.
So when that rubber band popped, that sounded like a loose cannon. And that's when you start cussing out your
That is.
boss, yelling at people in the driveway. And that's why I say you just crossed over to the line of insanity.
Yes.
Go home, go to your cocoon, and try again because otherwise you might pow somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I have a good time laughing at serious stuff, but it's true. I know when I'm
Right.
like
Right.
what just happened? Oh, that's the monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Well,
don't
and
want her.
that's
We
we
want
can
her to.
always right. We can always look back and laugh about ourselves. Like I can
Yeah,
laugh about where I was going, yeah, I did that. I cussed her out.
right.
Oops.
But you knew how you got there now, right?
I
And
did.
you knew when you can feel that boiling inside of you now, and you have tools. And this is what
Mhm.
your burnout to balance is all about. Your system is all about.
It is. It is 100% about that. Yeah. And so let me kind of touch on those last two of the seven,
Mm-hmm.
right? As far as kind of what that looks like. So, environment. We don't
Mm,
always think about this one, but I want you to think about it in multiple ways, right?
mm-hmm.
So, have got a home environment. How is that supporting or hurting my stress levels?
Come on now.
I've got my work environment, right? Whether that's at home or in an office.
Mm-hmm.
So our environment expands. So it's very small in home, but then if I grow it out, it's my community and each location I'm a part of. So if you have kids in school, you've got the educational system that's an environment. You've got maybe it's a church, right, that you're a part of. Well, so I've got my community and then I keep going out. It's my county, it's my state, it's the US or the country I live in.
Mm-hmm.
All of that plays a factor in our wellness and our stress levels.
Mm,
And how are we using those
mm,
to navigate that? Right? That's kind of where I see that because if we get real, the last several years in our world have been stressful for people.
Yes,
It is
yes.
stressful right now. And how are we
Very.
navigating this? So that's kind of where I see the environment plays in is we have to go from the micro level at home to the macro, the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of it. And then we've got in the occupational and financial, like I said, this is most places will say it's two different pillars.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with that because if we're talking about finances, we're talking about work. That's where you get your
Right.
money. So and again, right, we could say everybody probably has financial stress right now. So
Yeah. Yep.
we have,
Even if we have $1 million, people are worried that they're going to wake up and it disappears. They
right,
are.
right.
Just where we're at.
It is where we're at, but we can create plans around the finances, right? Let's work on that. Let's work on the debt, but let's join that with, I know the basis of my work stemmed from work.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
came from,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got burnt out, but we have to do work around that too, because I can't stay the yes ma'am person at work anymore.
Right.
I have to set those boundaries and I have to respect them for myself. And it has to be a two-way street to make it work, not just for me, but to make it work for the organization and the clients that I serve.
Yes. Exactly. That's so powerful. I love that you spoke about environments. The law of environment is a real thing. And whatever is around you, whether we know it or not, because I was talking to my sister earlier this morning and we were talking about how we're all interconnected as humans. She's also a therapist, a mental health therapist. She's more focused on drug, alcohol, addictions. She's an
Mm,
addiction therapist.
okay.
And so we were talking about the interconnectivity, how like when you said we're all stressed, we are all stressed, and some people are like, I'm not stressed. I got money. I don't have no problems. I don't care about who's in power. And okay, so dude, if there are 50 million people in the USA and 30 million of them are broke, homeless, don't have money, do you think you will be comfortable inside your bungalow in up there in wherever in Hollywood? No, you won't, because we're coming. We're coming like the zombie apocalypse. We are coming for your stuff. And I didn't mean me. I'm just saying the rest of people who are suffering, they're coming to take it. And so, a few years ago, we were wondering why so many rich people were building underground bungalows and things. That's why, because they're going to hide. That's the only way. But still, their life will never be the same if they're living underground. They're going to go back to what we call basics. They're going to have a place to cover their head. They're going to have food. They just may have entertainment, but their families are going to be there with them. Which, again, Deidre, brings me back to where did we all become this stressed to begin with? Why are we burning out? Because humans, I keep telling people, don't forget that we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yep.
You go
Yep.
back to
Yeah.
those:
Yes.
food, clothing, shelter, and knowing that I matter, I see and I'm heard, and interconnectivity. Everything else is on those other levels of needs. So, and honestly, if you ask me, that's all we need to survive.
Right. Right.
We don't need all the other things. Sunlight, all the other things that we don't even determine who puts the sun on in the morning. And in us, thank God it in these wacky people, because we got some people in office that will turn off the sunlight just to get on somebody's nerve. Wait,
Right.
let me get on Michelle Obama's nerve. Boom, turning off the sunlight.
Yeah.
Let me get on the Democrats, right? So thank God we are not responsible. But when we look at it, the stuff we're worrying about, when are we going to, stock is going to go down, or I'm going to get laid off. When you
Yeah.
come to think about it, if you do, what you going to do? You're going to go back to, what do I truly need? You're going to cut Netflix. You're going to cut Hulu. So why don't you stop worrying about it and start doing that now and
Yes.
save up some money, right? So that is how, again, you can also preempt burnout. And that's what I want to
Right.
talk to you next,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's some people, lucky for them, have not experienced burnout.
And I hope they never do.
If you listen to this entire conversation and you don't identify with us, welcome to the 1% club, right? Because
Yeah.
Steve Jobs suffered burnout over and over again. Elon Musk did. Heck, from the size of dude's stomach alone, we can tell he's tired. We look at our presidents. When they run into office, they go in looking one way, and while they're in there, they look another way, right?
Yes.
They're suffering burnout while they're in the line of fire. So for those who haven't experienced it yet, or for those who have but are like, they're like, okay, thank God there's something. I'm definitely going to reach out to Deidre. But for the ones who are like, I'm not too worried about it, I'm good. How can we prep ourselves to avoid burnout altogether? Or more likely, once we know we're getting into a burnout space, what kind of things can we do to prepare ourselves? Because I believe that prevention is better than a cure. I'd rather
Yes.
prevent a heart attack than to have a stent put in my heart. That's basically what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes. I'm with you there. Well, and I would say one of the kind of foundational things that I tell everybody, and that's if you have enough self-awareness, when things that are important to you that keep you grounded stop happening, you're in
Mm,
trouble or you're headed to
hmm,
trouble, right? If you're giving things up because you're saying just need to get more sleep, that's a sign you're headed to burnout if you haven't already gotten there. And if
mm,
we can't see it, we need to be open to hearing those around us. If they say
mm,
something to you, they're seeing something you're not, right? And so
mhm.
that's really like, how do we prevent it? We listen to what people say, but we have to be looking at what am I starting to give up that was so important?
Right,
Because
right.
that's the first thing to go out the window. We just toss it out and go, I'll come back to it.
Hmm. I love that. And a moment of vulnerability. So people talk about work-life balance, and I say to individuals that for me and my personal journey, I look for harmony in my life.
Yep.
And so why do I call it that? Because in my pot, I'm building, it's like harmony for me means there's components of what fills me up, me specifically. Now, Deidre may be different. And what I want to say is, though, even harmony, or even if your word is balance,
Yep.
anybody else's word is balance, it looks different at different times for you. Because as a human, you're not static, you're evolving. You have high times, low times. So keeping for me in a space of harmony may include having a certain amount of money in my bank account. And I'm talking from my own perspective, having a certain level of connectivity with other people, being in
Mhm.
certain connectivity and activities with my family. That's a big thing for me. It's making sure the people that work with me and for me are experiencing a certain level of abundance. It
Mm.
may mean getting my message out to so many people over time. Like you say,
Mhm.
you want to have these 50,000. So your life being in harmony and fulfillment and abundance will include certain things.
Yeah.
What I find is there's going to be no's that I say to certain things in order. So that 50,000 that Deidre says she wants, she is giving up time on a Saturday. We're recording this on a Saturday where usually she may spend time with her family. But she decided, oh, I'm going to give an hour up, or I might give 2 hours up to spend on a podcast with an individual where I can tell people and reach so many people as possible that, hey, you can go from burnout to balance, right? So this window of her life, it might be a year, it might be a 2 year span. She's saying no to family time, but it equals a yes to bringing a harmonious place with what she says she wants and what she does to accomplish it, right? So while some people be like, you're going to record a podcast on a Saturday? That's weird. Isn't that supposed to be your family time? She's like, no, it brings me joy. I'm gonna spend 1 hour less with my family, but later on I'm going to a movie. So I'm building, this is still harmony for you, but it doesn't look like harmony for Janet, who doesn't want to reach 50,000 people and teach them about being burnout to balance. So while someone be like, sometimes people look at me and how my schedule is like, how's your balance? Well, I do miss a lot of family events in this period, but I make up for it by just shutting down half a day and going to the mall with my niece and her friends.
Right.
random on a Wednesday. That's my fill, right? But my harmony is coming from that. But I'll say this to you. If I go for a long period of time without the bonding and interaction of the people I care and love for, I'm hitting burnout, just like you said. Because that ingredient is important to me. For some people, they don't care to be around their family. They don't like their family, and their family don't like them. So
Right. Right.
harmony for them does not look like spending time with family, but it might be their friends or whatever. But if any one of I call them the components of my harmonious existence in this period, I spend less and less time away from it, that is my flag that I know I'm experiencing burnout.
Yes.
I'm a person that works out every day. If I get up day 1, day 2, day 3, and I am not exercising because I am too tired because I worked late the night before, I am burning myself out.
Yes. Yes.
Because exercise is part of my wellness routine. It helps me keep balance. As a woman, I just learned that women have lower levels of serotonin than men. I need to exercise. This is why we become Krabby Patties very
Yep.
quickly. And men are like,
Yep.
what's wrong with her? Well, yeah, serotonin level is really, really low right now.
Yep. Yep.
So when we feel like punching somebody, we need to be in the gym. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying what you said is absolutely true. It's burnout sneaks up on you
It does.
so quickly. So here's one thing I'm saying, Deidre, and tell me what you think of this. Know what you require in this season, not last season, because last season is gone. Maybe last season you were a single mom. Now you got a boyfriend and a daughter, or a daughter and a son. Last season you had tweens. Now you've got teenagers. You may want to revisit ever so often. And I like to tell people, you can write in a notepad on your phone, but if you write it down, there's mind muscle connection. What does it take for me to be happy? And no, I'm not talking about getting a new house. It might be, but I'm talking about on the theory of hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
need? Oh, yeah, I need lobster and pasta every Tuesday. I need a massage because that's mental health. I need to walk at least 3 times a week. I need to talk to my crazy mother every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. What does that look like? Things that are within your immediate control that just makes your life better and fuller. Write that down and I call them my non-negotiables. If it's going to infringe anything that starts to mess with my sleep, it better equal money or or checking an impact goal. Period. Yeah. I used to get up at any time in the middle of the night to go talk to individuals all across the globe, and I loved that. But that was last season, when I didn't have all the other responsibilities that are on my plate, where I didn't even have a team of people that work with me and for me that are not needing to be directed to get things done. I wasn't building a bigger brand and all the stuff that I'm doing. I didn't have a podcast, but now I can't do that. So if I'm getting up to speak at 5 a.m, Deidre, my answer is, how does getting up to speak equal one of my goals?
Yeah.
And my goals are making money, impacting the lives, and helping people change. And do I need to make more money more than I need sleep right now, even when I'm called? So no, I need sleep more than I need this money. So
Right.
no.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I love everything you're saying. And I use the term non-negotiable too, because when we look at our priorities, right, there are certain things that are non-negotiable, and those are the things that we focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is kind of like, yep, if I get to that, that's great. Right. And it
Yes.
is absolutely about seasons, right?
Yes.
I'm in a season right now where I'm helping my parents at times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building my business and my brand, and I still help some and I'll have clients. And so I have to evaluate it almost on a weekly basis of, okay, where has my priority have to be this week based on what the need is.
Right.
So it is ever changing, but it's coming back to those priorities, right? What's most important? I can't make everything a priority. I can't make every wellness dimension a priority right now. I can focus on the ones that are most important. And, when we mention staying grounded and you talked about, right, social or family time that's kind of your key.
Mm-hmm.
I come back to working out is great. It's important. I love
Mm-hmm.
working out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, I divide it into, we have self-care that helps like for the day and in the moment. But where's our soul care? Those things that fill us from the inside really deep. That's what there has to be one of those that's a non-negotiable somewhere. And for some people, it's weekly. For some people, it's monthly. And so it's a constant assessment. And I love the writing it down because there is a direct connection and we will remember it more. We'll prioritize it more, right? When we do those things. But we also have to have grace because life changes.
Yes,
Things
it
come
does.
up. And so I encourage people, like, take it on a weekly basis, start with a quarter,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to just constantly be assessing and looking at it going, okay, how am I? Right? I check in with myself all the time because to an outsider, I'm doing more than they probably think I should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I know my internal signs that say extra time off now. Okay, I'll go do some more things that fill me up, right? I'll go pick some huckleberries and hike and those kinds of things. But it's a constant. You have to be okay constantly assessing,
Yes.
identifying, writing down. All of those things are so important.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. It's important. Again, that's the self responsibility. I think that self love more than anything, self love, there's so much self responsibility buried in the in the process of loving yourself, and understand the more you keep your cup filled, if you are a person that love people, you love your family, you love your job, you love your clients, you love whatever that is, all those people that you're saying yes to all the time. If you're like me and Deidre, where we've overcome and keep working on it,
Hmm.
this cannot be like this. Nothing to pour here, honey.
Yeah,
It's empty. And so, you're going to scoop up and borrow from someone to pour in there, but eventually you're just going to.
you can crumble. You're gonna crumble.
And guess what? Nobody has use for this.
Right.
What can we do with this but recycle it? We don't have recycled humans, not yet. Last I
Right.
checked. Recycled humans are when it's donor. Tish, donor, we're donating organs. So that means you are no longer in existence. And so we want you to remember to keep it's not selfish. It's self-full to make sure that you are in shape. And I love what you said, Deidre, that it's not only about the outside, because so many people think getting your nails done and taking care of your hair and stuff
Mm.
is self responsibility. It is part of the
Yes.
process of loving and take care of yourself, just like going to the gym is.
Hmm.
But what's inside here is
Yep.
what reflects here.
Yep. Yep.
Period.
Yep.
So I tell people, there are a lot of people. I remember I was overweight, and my ex-husband he's always lean and trim, but I had a healthier body than he did, because even at my weight, I still took the time to eat healthy. I was eating healthy 80 to 90% of the time, and I was walking daily, 30 minutes walk. I wasn't in shape like I am now, and that's a whole nother conversation, because I was actually in burnout.
Yep. Yep.
I was in burnout, and I was functioning in burnout for so long that no matter what activities and how much I was doing all the healthy stuff, my body was not connecting, because my soul, and that's why I love that you said, please take care of in here, because if in here's taken care of, believe me, no matter how long you take, your body can't escape it.
Yep. Yep.
And everybody's healthy body looks very, very different.
Yes. Yes. It's
Very
so,
different.
so different.
So powerful. So, Deidre, we have flipped the script here. It's where we love to ask our guests to flip the script with us. Can you share a time when you had to flip your own script of your mind? Maybe you faced burnout. You already shared one of those, or a total imbalance that you had personally. How did you turn that into a breakthrough for yourself?
Mm, that's a great question. And I'm going to say it's partly combined with what I've already said, right? And that's shifting my mindset that work will always be there.
Mm,
I can get done what I can get done today. And I have to be okay with that, right? Like,
Yeah.
Nobody else can tell me what is or isn't. As long as I feel good about what I've accomplished and I feel like I've made progress, that
Yes.
has to be enough, because the reality is I could work an extra 2 hours, but I will not accomplish what I think I will because I'm tired. And so for me, that was part of that, right? Part of my burnout recovery journey was shifting that mindset that I can't do that. I
Mhm.
have to decide what those days look like to get the job done that I need to get done. But for me, I had to combine it with coming back around family for support, because I was one and I still kind of am. I'm content to just go do my own thing without people around. Right. But that comes back to that wellness or illness. Pretty sure that impacted that because it didn't matter at the time. But that having that people around helps me go, nope, I'm done for today. I'm done. I'm moving on to something else. So that's really kind of where I think my turning point and my breakthrough was I had to look at it different, and I had to heal that inside of me of I can't be a people pleaser. It's okay if I'm not always the one to say yes, somebody else can, right? That fear of missing out.
Right. Exactly.
That's where my
Oh, we
people
get you.
pleasing came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had some deep rooted things to heal. I realized, attachment played into it. So those were kind of my turning points, and my physical health has significantly come back from where it was. Um yeah, but it's a lot of pieces of what I talk about in my book that were my breakthroughs, but because it was all combined, right?
Right.
I
Right.
can't say it was just this one piece. I changed my mindset. I looked at my personality and my attachment style and went, that's hard to look at, because that's why I
Mhm.
kept burning out, and combine that with the support. And now I'm completely different place than I was 6, 7 years ago.
Wow. Definitely flip the script. So, how has that shaped how you define success now?
I would say success isn't always about doing more.
Mm,
It's about what's important, right? So
mm.
we come back to the impact we want to make.
Wow.
And am I love your word harmony. I'm going to come back to that too, because harmony or balance, we're one being, right? And as a
Mhm.
therapist, we're kind of trained to separate ourselves. Personal pieces of my life don't come into the therapy room.
Not
They're not
consciously.
supposed, right?
Consciously, it's going everywhere.
It is subconsciously going everywhere. But what I've
Yeah.
also learned is 90 I'm going to say 95% of the people I work with want to know, who is Deidre as a person?
Right.
So there is another term outside of harmony and balance that's really big now, and it's full life integration. Am I being fully integrated in who I am,
Uh-huh.
right? And that's to me important to success. Like, sure, there's certain things I won't necessarily share with a therapy client, but if they ask certain questions that are, more surface level and just to kind of know my personality, right?
Mhm.
Fine. I don't care that they know I like to go pick huckleberries or I have a pile of wood I need to go out and split this weekend. Like, that's just kind of, those little things. And so
Yeah.
that's how I define success is what impact are we making, and again, what's important to us, because it's not all about work and it's not all about money.
I love it. I love it. So deep. So, looking ahead, you've got this mission, this book, and this passion to help 50,000 professionals. What's your next big thing, and what mindset are you leaning into to make it happen?
Oh, my next big thing. I'm going to say it's still connected to burnout. So not only do I want to impact 50,000 people to either prevent or overcome it,
Hmm.
I want to impact at the organizational level. So,
Mm,
because I truly believe when we talk about burnout within work, it's not just an individual person's responsibility. It
I
is a
agree.
systemic issue, and that
Yes.
is something I want to influence. I've been able to influence it before, and I really want to be able to dive into that, because the way corporate America functions, It does
Mhm.
not care if somebody burns out.
It is a burnout. Listen, girl. It requires you to be burnt on an altar as ash to be able to stay working there. I said what I said. I
It
don't know
does.
who's over here that I'm talking to, but that is the one thing I've learned. The more you are a yes, sir, yes, ma'am, do what thy will with me, the better you function in corporate. The minute you have boundaries that my office hours are from 9 to 5, therefore, the latest you will catch me here is 5:15. After that, I'm out. And don't call my phone because I ain't answering.
Yeah.
They're like, who do you think you are? So obviously, if you're not burning out, you're not part of us. Or you're the Antichrist.
Right. Yeah, it's a systemic problem for sure.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I appreciate that. That's awesome. I love that. So Deidre, we are at Mindset Bites to go. This is where you take 90 seconds to yourself. I'm not on camera or on the microphone, and you speak to us as if it were your last few words to the rest of us. What would you say to one of us, or your best advice that you would give to someone that's listening today who's on the verge or experiencing burnout? I'm going to step away from the mic and the camera, and it's all yours.
Yeah. So I really want you all to hear that it's not this big elaborate plan, right? Like, yes, my book offers a lot of things and I can offer you a lot of things, but I really want you to hear that you have the ability within yourself to create that balance, to overcome burnout. You already have it inside. You just need to look within and trust yourself and have confidence to speak for what you need, right? Because again, what works for me does not work for June. It's different for everybody. And so when I help people, they always come in and say, Deidre, what do you want me to do? What do I do? And I help you reflect in because you have the ability. You have the ability to overcome burnout. You have the ability to create the life you want, whatever you want that to look like. And so really try not to compare yourself to others, but just look at your own path, right? We can walk a path with somebody, but it's not, my path isn't theirs because I'm not them. We're each different. And so when you come back to your own internal abilities and you get true to yourself, the sky's the limit. You can create all of this and whatever you want that to look like, right? My journey, I had to come back to what was true to me and to come back to that internal reason why I do what I do and why I've taken on this new journey and this new path. But you have the ability, and I know you do, and you can make those changes. And it's not huge changes. Start small, start microscopic, itty bitty, right? And those are the changes I support people in. And I always get these looks of, are you serious? That's what you want me to do? But I promise you, one microscopic change and trusting yourself, you'll be amazed at where you get in a short amount of time. It does not take much. I have people who make microscopic changes and notice a difference in 2 weeks. That's it. 2 weeks. Super quick. Because when you're overwhelmed, you can't see an elaborate plan if I handed it to you on a platter. So again, I know you have the ability in yourself. Let's find it and bring it out because you can create that balance or that harmony that you want. It's there. So just take a pause to find it. And again, it doesn't have to be, don't take all 7 dimensions and change it. Just one super small change. And you got it. You can have that balance.
Absolutely. You have got it one at a time. Nothing that we give you is supposed to be taken all at once. It's like taking a whole bottle of pills. Okay.
Right.
So we are so happy. Deidre, everyone's wondering, what's your favorite way to connect with you and Abundance Wellness Essentials? And how can we get a copy of your book?
Yeah, so you can actually, book is on Amazon. Like you said at the beginning, it is a number one. But go to my website, go to abundantwellnessessentials.com. You can access it there, but you can also just go to abundantwellness.com/consult. I'd love to chat with you and help you find that one little thing that you're missing.
So you guys heard it. She has an amazing gift for you guys to book a consultation. Is it a free strategy
It is
session
a
with you?
free strategy session, yes.
You all get that. Thank you for listening and sharing this with us. We'd love to get your feedback. Find Deidre on social media. We'll have her handles here wherever you're watching and listening to this. Let her know you heard her and that you are working on one at a time, one of those dimensions, or maybe a couple if you're an overachiever like I am. And just let her know what this episode did for you. For those who are grabbing all the links are in in this episode, where again, wherever you're listening, watching to this, I believe that there's she has the 2 weeks at it's 2 weeks at stresspeace.com.
Stress to peace.
Stress2peace.com. There's a resource there that you can download from stress2peace.com. I love that phrase. That is so beautiful. Check it out. And then her best-selling book, From Burnout to Balance, and connect with her for that free consultation. To wrap things up, grab the book, go to get the Stress to Peace first, grab the book. It's a 1, 2, 3, right? Go to stress2peace.com, get a copy of the book, and read the book. Don't just go on there to talk to her just because you can. Read the book a little bit so you can understand what it really is, and then use the opportunity of getting a free strategy session with her to bring it together so that can make some sense for you. Deidre, thank you so much for joining me today and for reminding us that success without wellness is never truly success. To our listeners, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do become, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.